So, you might be wondering how to sing with confidence without getting overwhelmed or frozen by nerves or sabotaging your performance. Well, in this episode, I got you covered with 5 key things to avoid so that you can step on stage or sing in front of others feeling prepared, connected, and truly confident without anxiety, perfectionism, or burnout moments. So let's dive into it. Hi, my name is Maggie. I'm the founder of the Singing Insiders, in which I help passionate singers just like yourself become the best version of themselves through singing. And in these episodes, you're going to get practical tools, insights, exercises all around singing to really help you up-level your singing skills. So let's look at what it actually takes to avoid self-sabotage when you're performing or when you're singing in front of others. Now, in order to truly get this, you need to understand some common mistakes that many beginner and sometimes even experienced singers are making. And the first one is pushing yourself into what I like to call the panic zone. Now, we're going to talk more about that throughout today's episode, but really the idea is that the more I do it, the less nervous I will be, and that's not always true. So we're gonna address that today. Another mistake many beginner singers tend to make is focusing only on vocal technique, meaning they have to have the perfect voice before they even start performing. Again, we're going to talk about that as well. And a third one that I see oftentimes is this idea of fake it till you make it. So trying to pretend you're not nervous when you're actually very nervous, for example. And there's a better way to go around things. Now, these are the top mistakes that I see many singers make. And if you realize that you might be making one of those, that's actually a good thing, because that means that you can change things around and actually do something about it. And that's when we slowly start to shift in this world of what I like to call the trained singer. And the trained singer, they know exactly how to prepare their performance, and they don't go into that panic zone. Instead, they go into, we could call it the stretch zone. Again, we're going to talk about that. Also, trained singers, instead of just focusing on vocal technique, they know that nervous system regulation is part of the process to perform with confidence. And trained singers are not scared to authentically sing. We're going to talk about what authentically sing actually means. So here are the 5 things to avoid if you want to be able to perform and sing with confidence. Number 1, we talked about this idea of panic mode, right? So oftentimes singers have this notion or this idea that the more I do something, the less nervous I will be. And I totally resonate. I did find myself in that place too. I thought, well, the more I'll perform, the more I'll learn, the more experience I will gather, and thus the less nerves I will feel, when really sometimes the opposite happens. Because if you put yourself in that panic zone, meaning you're just pushing your boundaries, doing things you feel super uncomfortable doing, your body will react to that. Your body might tense up and freeze, all those things. And going through that experience will just reinforce the belief that you're not good enough, that you're not prepared enough to perform, that singing in public is not for you, like all those things. It will just reinforce that. And the more you believe that you're not good enough, and the more you put yourself out there and sing on stages, and then the more you freeze up or forget your lyrics or whatever might go wrong, that's just a vicious cycle. So what do we want to do instead? Well, you have your comfort zone. These are the things that you feel comfortable doing. For some, that might be singing in the shower. For others, that might be singing at a local karaoke bar. Whatever your comfort zone looks like. This is the place where you feel good about yourself, where you feel safe. And then you have your panic zone. Panic zone is where you feel unsafe, where your body goes into fight, flight, or freeze. Our aim to grow as singers and to develop ourselves is to find that place in the middle. What is something that is not entirely in your comfort zone and not entirely in your panic zone? In other words, what is that middle zone looking like? Which might be called the stretch zone, the growth zone, however you want to call it. For some of us, that might mean actually recording yourself and sharing that recording with others, whether that's on social media, with a coach, with trusted friends. For others, that growth zone might look like attending a jam night at your local music venue, It will be different for all of us, but identifying what your growth zone looks like and actually spending time there will help you achieve what now might be in your panic zone. Does that make sense? So if singing on stage in front of 100 people is in my panic zone and jamming at my local cafe is in my growth zone, by doing the action of going to the jam, that might help me stretch my growth zone and do the things that were initially in my panic zone. Does that make sense? So that's number one, avoiding to push yourself into that panic zone, because then we just get into the vicious cycle. Number two, just focusing on vocal technique. And I know this is a big one. Many singers, they come to me wanting to improve their voices and they tell me things like, I want to learn breath support. I want to learn belting. I want to know how to use vibrato, like all those things. And I must say those things are important because you need to know how to use your voice, how to control your voice, how to sing in a healthy way so that you're not feeling tension or hoarseness, all those things. Yes, that is important. However, if you only focus on that, you might fall into the trap of perfectionism and you're forgetting two other important elements. Number one, nervous system regulation, because when you are in your growth zone, you might feel a little bit uncomfortable at times, meaning there will be some, let's say, healthy nerves coming up, and you need to know how to address those. And that's where nervous system regulation comes in. But also authenticity. How can you sing a song in your own unique and authentic way and truly make a connection with your listener? But also, how can you connect with your song? So if these two elements are missing, vocal technique isn't going to save you. So it's a matter of having this holistic approach to your singing instead of just focusing on one thing. Let's move on to number three. Number three is avoiding the fake it till you make it approach, I like to call it. So we talked about authenticity earlier, and this is where it comes in play. If you fake it till you make it, meaning imagine that you're going to sing on stage and then you say, hey, I'm feeling good today, I'm confident, let's start singing. Your audience, if you do not come from a place of honesty, they're not going to buy into whatever you're telling them. So it's way more beneficial to just be honest about what you're feeling. So instead of faking it till you're making it when you're on stage, what if instead you could just be vulnerable, honest, and authentic? Maybe you're talking to your audience and you say, hey, this is actually the first time I'm on stage and I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm really excited to see how this goes. That intro text before you start singing will create a direct connection with your listener. And they might be listening and supporting you even more than if you would just have said, hey, I'm a seasoned performer and I'm here to entertain you tonight. Do you notice the difference? So fake it till you make it, that's something that we want to avoid, and instead come from a place of authenticity, vulnerability, and honesty, really. So to recap, number one to avoid if you want to sing with confidence was pushing yourself into the panic zone. We want to get into the growth zone instead. Number 2 is just focusing on vocal technique. Yes, vocal technique is important, but there's other elements that you need to have a holistic development as a singer. Number 3, avoid the fake it till you make it approach and make sure that you're speaking and singing from a place of vulnerability, honesty, and authenticity, really. So if this has been helpful for you so far, please hit the like and subscribe button for more singing insights and episodes just like this one. But if you've been unknowingly making any of these mistakes that we already covered, well, my best tip is actually coming up. So let's keep going. We got 2 more to go. Number 4, avoid perfectionism. And this is a huge one. This is also tied with number 3, coming from a place of authenticity. Oftentimes, when we're so focused on everything has to go perfect, that is where the anxiety kicks in. Because then if you make one little tiny mistake that someone might not even have heard, your mind starts going, oh no, there was a mistake. And then you just keep replaying that over and over and over in your head, and then the rest of your performance falls flat. So perfectionism is a huge trap that we want to avoid. And instead of focusing on everything has to go perfect, what if you could focus on trusting yourself? Trusting yourself and your voice. Trusting that you've done all the preparation that you need to be here in this moment. Trusting that you know how to use your voice. Trusting that you are there to bring joy and inspiration to the people listening to you. Trusting that your audience is there to encourage you, not bring you down or judge you. Like all those things. Instead of focusing on perfectionism, what if you could focus on trust in yourself, in your voice, in your audience, in your song, in your story, right? That will shift it around. Number 5, probably one of the most important ones. Avoid winging it. So I worked with singers and they just said, oh, I'm performing this Saturday. I'll just see how it goes. I know what song I'm going to sing. I'll practice it a few times at home and then I'll just see how it goes. Now, depending on what kind of singer that you are, that might work for you in some cases. But oftentimes, if you're someone who experiences regular nerves, doubts, insecurities, or even performance anxiety, not being prepared will actually trigger even more anxiety. And when I'm talking about preparation, I'm talking about all the things that you can prep and that you're in control of, and then letting it go. Because otherwise, we might fall into the trap again of perfectionism. So let me give you an example. Preparation is vocal preparation, so making sure that you do your warm-ups, your vocal cool-downs, all those things. But also vocal technique preparation, when you're actually studying the song, knowing what techniques are applied where in the song, and here's the key, getting those techniques in your muscle memory so that you don't have to think about them anymore. They just come automatically. They're in your system. You can do them on autopilot. So a vocal technique preparation is a big one, but also prepare how you're going to address your audience in between your songs. So oftentimes that is something that people will just wing. Oh, I'll see what I'll say when I'm on stage. And then you're on stage and you don't know what to say. So actually prepare those little pieces of conversation that you're going to have with your audience. Prepare your stage performance. How are you going to stand there? Do you have anchor points on stage? Where do you want to go? Which movements do you want to incorporate in your song? All those things are things that you can prepare. Prepare for the practical things. What clothes will you wear? How much time do you have to warm up your voice? What is the technical setup at the venue? Do you have time for a sound check or do you not have time for a sound check? Can you bring your own microphone? Like all those things we can talk about about that for so long. And in the Singing Insiders, if you're a Singing Insider member, please check out the Vocal Freedom module to help you with all of this. So preparation is key. And I'm going to repeat what I said earlier. It's about preparation and preparing what is in your control. What are things that you cannot control? How people think about you, their judgments, their thoughts, their enthusiasm and applause. We cannot control all those things. So let that go, okay? And once you feel like you have prepared and you checked off your checklist with all the things that you can do in preparation for a performance, that is when we let go. And that is one of the hardest things for many singers. Because what we tend to do is think, well, I'm not well prepared enough. Like I haven't done all the things yet. There's still so much more I need to do. No, there's a point in time where you need to say, okay, I'm prepared, and now I'm letting go, and then I'm leaning into trust instead of perfectionism, which was our number 4 thing to avoid, remember? So let me recap the 5 things for you to avoid if you want to be able to sing confidently and perform confidently. It's number 1, avoid getting into your panic zone, getting to your growth zone instead. Number 2, yes, vocal technique is important. Nervous system regulation and authentic expressions are equally as important. Number 3, avoid the fake it till you make it approach. Come from a place of vulnerability, openness, authenticity. Number 4, let go of perfectionism. Instead, lean into trust. And number 5, preparation is key. And once you're prepared, let go. Let go, enjoy, all those things. So as you can see, singing is more than just hitting the right notes. It's a holistic approach that you need to take in order to truly develop yourself as a singer. And how I teach that to the singers that I work with is through our vocal freedom methodology. Now, I have a whole episode walking you through the vocal freedom method, which includes vocal technique and that inner trust, nervous system regulation, and also that authenticity and authentic expression. So my invitation to you would be to keep this conversation going in that episode where you're learning all about the vocal freedom method so that you can start implementing this holistic approach to singing, not just the vocal technique side of things. Yes, it's part of it. It's important, but there's way more to it. So click the link in the description down below. I will see you there. And thank you so much for having spent the time here with me. I appreciate you. Thank you for being here, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.